Welcome everyone. I think, yeah, this is like a really special opportunity to like talk to us who have been at Penn for like a few months. Well, in my case, so I'm Andres. I'm currently a senior, so I'm a like a yeah, like a senior undergrad student, but I'm also like a master's student. So I'm doing like a sort of thing where you do like master's and undergrad at the same time. I'm from Peru. I'm currently in Peru, and I've been in Philly for I actually started college in 2019. I'm graduating this semester, but yeah, I've been through a lot of changes when it comes to Philly. So yeah, nice to meet everyone, and it's awesome to see how everyone's from all over the world. So yeah. And I'll pass it on to Judy.
Hi everyone. Hello, I'm Judy. I'm a first year master's student at Penn GSE, the Graduate School of Education. I'm originally from China. I've been in Philly for a semester, and this is my fifth year in the state as I got my undergrad degree from the state too. I'm super passionate about a lot of things related to fitness and stuff like that, as I work as a personal trainer during my spare time. So I would love to share a lot more about the wellness and fitness resources out there. And also, I'm super active in a lot of the fun social activities on campus for international students. And the good thing is that I actually met my partner right now through a social event on 1 week into the semester. So definitely encourage everyone to just put yourself out there, meet new people, and a lot of the magic, chemistry, and blah blah things will just go through automatically. So I feel like that is the best thing about Penn so far for me. Nice to meet you guys.
I guess we would turn to Nasib.
All right, I'll get it passed on to myself. So my name is Nasib. I'm a junior at the College of Arts and Sciences. I'm studying biochemistry and mathematical economics. And it's great to see you all today, and congratulations to students who just got accepted to Penn. I moved to Philadelphia in 2021 from Afghanistan. I was born in there. And on campus, I'm involved in a lot of activities. But the one that's sort of pertinent to discussion that you're having today is that I serve as the vice chair of the undergraduate section of the International Student Advisory Board. And we also have the graduate vice chair of International Student Advisory Board in the awesome person of Andres. And it's nice to meet you guys today. And we would be happy to reflect on our experiences and answer your questions for as much as would be helpful. Um,
Well, thank you, all three of you, for the introduction. So yes, as Nasib pointed out that, he's on the ISAB, International Student Advisory Board. So all three students are actually serving on the International Student Advisory Board. And so this board is to kind of really advocate for on behalf of the entire Penn international community, including both students and scholars, with regard to their needs and challenges, with the Penn administrators. So I think, if you have questions and you have suggestions, feel free to put in chat or Q&A. We would also use this platform as a way to collect, the kind of maybe the kind of support and service that you need help with, and then so we can make sure that during your time at Penn, while you're either here now or you're coming in the future, that there is some support available for you. So my next question for all the panelists is that how maybe can you kind of describe your overall experiences at Penn so far? And if you want to focus on specific areas, either academics or social or spiritual wellness and or career, you can also do that.
I can start, perhaps. Yeah, so I think I have a little kind of more like experience when it comes to perhaps like wellness part of Penn and maybe like academics as well. So yeah, as Nasib mentioned, like there's the advisory board for international students and scholars who kind of advocate for students. And so part of, I guess, my experience has been very much like affected heavily with a few things when it comes to like, I guess, mental health. I think that's something that in all of our countries, it's maybe like a topic that people don't really talk about a lot. I think that there's a lot of stigma attached to it, but the thing is that I think it's important to keep in mind that at Penn, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think just in general, like in the US, there's a lot of emphasis on sort of putting mental health as a priority, like equating mental health to also physical health. I think that's something that I didn't necessarily have back home. So I think going into Penn, I very much sort of I was I stumbled upon a lot of challenges when it came to sort of finding myself in a new space, in a new environment. It's very much like a hard thing to do to like move to like the US, especially like, if you haven't been there before or whatnot, and you're living alone and you kind of have to deal with a lot of issues such as, paying your rent and paying your bills and getting a phone number and, getting like integrated into the culture and whatnot. So that was, I think, there's a lot of things that come into that. And also Penn, as all of you may already know, like it's a very sort of prestigious university. So like, you come to a place where like everyone's like the best of the best. And then there's a lot of like comparisons that may come along with that. It's like you find yourself like maybe like thinking of whether you're doing enough or whether you're at the same sort of maybe level as your peers. And that's always going to be something that's going to happen in a competitive environment such as Penn. But I think one thing to keep in mind is that there are so many resources out there at Penn. For instance, like there's like the wellness center, there's the student health, there's the CAPS, which is the Center of Psychological Services. Essentially, like there are so many services that can help us sort of if we have any sort of I don't know, like I can like learning disability, or we have any sort of like any other mental health related issues, those can be addressed. It's something that Penn does prioritize a lot, and there are so many resources out there for that. So, I struggled. I found out the hard way how it is to kind of go through the whole process. But now I'm in a place where I know there's resources out there. So we can always go to those if needed. But yeah, I would say that's kind of my overall experience a little bit. But yeah.
Yeah, I think I can follow up on that. So Andres spoke to the mental health department of the overall Penn experience, and I think I'll follow up on that with speaking to the academic side of Penn. So a lot of us international students are coming from countries where the educational curriculum is very different. It's like your high school experience compared to the experience that you'd have at an American university is substantially different. For instance, one example is how examinations are sorted out in these two different curriculums. Back home, we have one big exam at the end of the semester, and that's grade determining. So you have this one big exam, you study for the whole semester, prepping for that exam, you take that exam, and that's it. At Penn, for instance, uh, the grading scheme works substantially differently. The grade is sort of organized into different sections. You have the attendance and then the weekly assignments and then the monthly midterms, and then you have sometimes a cumulative final at the end. So that's like one example of how the academic experience of your high school might be different from how the academic experiences are sort of established in an American institution. And at the same time, uh, you would observe coming in a lot of other differences in the way students are expected to contribute to class discussions and to classes in general. And so in the 3 years that I've been at Penn, I have been a student in the classes, apparently, but I've also been a teaching assistant for multiple classes, and so I could also speak to the provider part of it. And so although Andres mentioned that Penn is a competitive environment. I would also add to it that it's a very collaborative environment as well. So you have students which are very good at what is that they're doing, but they're also students who are very collaborative in what they're doing. So if you have problems with studying, or if you have problems with a specific assignments, then collaborating with other students would be very helpful. And so the way the general educational curriculum at Penn is sort of set up, my impression is that it's very intellectually stimulating. And so students are expected to come to the class and sort of share in this broader discussion that's happening. And so they have to be as much on the receiver end of the education as they would have to be on the provider end. And sort of classes are designed on this scheme of giving and taking at an academic institution. And so I feel like some of the resources that are available for students who might find themselves at challenging circumstances in their classes would be apparently their professors. So if you begin your experience at Penn and you see that it's substantially different from what you're used to in terms of the structure and the rigor of the classes, reach out to your professors. Like that should be the first thing that you have to do. Tell them how difficult the class is and in what respect is the class difficult, and seek their advice and their support. You also have undergraduate and sometimes graduate students who serve as teaching assistants. And so you could reach out to them if you're having difficulty with the content of the class itself. And their their job is to support you in your journey there. And then added to that is apparently your friend circle. Friends who are taking the same class as you. You could ask them for their advice and help on the assignments. But you also have the Weingarten Learning Center, which is, I believe, sort of an underutilized but a highly informative and a highly supportive resource here at Penn. And Weingarten is sort of this educational assistance center that's out there on campus. They help students with their study strategies, they help students with their exam taking strategies, they help students with how to build professional network with their professors and how to approach taking classes. And so on a broad view, I would sort of see Penn as an institution that's really committed to bringing you up as scholars and as intellectuals in your respective field, and always have this impression that the students around you are in the same boat. They're trying to help you, and their expectation is that you'd help them. And so I feel like although the academics at Penn could be tough, at times you are very fortunate to be entering into an institution which fosters this uh, um, intellectual community. And so I think that's all I had on the academic side. So I'd be happy to talk about the other aspects of Penn as well, but I'll pass it on to Judy for now.
Um, Hi everyone. I can share a little bit more about the physical health and about the Penn College in general. So for the physical health, I have met a lot of people who don't know that gym is free for all students on 3 months coming into the semester. So at Penn, we have two fitness centers that are open super early in the morning and really late at night for all students. And we also have free group classes, Zumba, HIIT, and some of the other fun stuff out there too. And we also have climbing walls and a bunch of the other things that you can look into. And another really great physical health resources that I think was super helpful for me would be you can have the nutrition counseling appointment with the student wellness center out there. They will just help you set up plans for weight loss, for just maintaining general health and stuff like that. And as Andreas and Steve also talked about, Penn is a really collaborative community for you to meet people from different backgrounds. And one way to do that is just through clubs for sure. And Penn does a really good job by putting together all the club information into a website called Penn Clubs. You can filter on different clubs by category and stuff like that. I remember back at my time at my at Penn, we didn't have a special website with all the information. So definitely look at the website, search for fun stuff out there and reach out to people there. Although most clubs hire new members back in fall semesters, but I believe a lot of them are still taking spring cohort for sure.
All right. Well, thank you for all three of you to pick kind of for one area to really talk about, how you navigated, that area, and but also what are some of the resources and how you utilize them and how they can be helpful to you. Can you expand maybe a little bit, maybe, and in thinking about when you first started at Penn, I know that maybe some of you started at Penn during COVID, so it was a little, kind of different. But as you think back on kind of adjusting to be back to come to campus in person, like how would you describe, the helpful ways for you to become more, acclimated, adjusted at Penn? Like, what did you maybe do, or in what ways that you have found helpful with your transitioning as a newcomer?
Um, I would say so. Yeah, I started college right before COVID, and then I went through the whole phase of COVID, and then after COVID, so there was definitely like a shift in how we kind of approach college. I think both as like I want to speak as general as I can with like scholars involved and also like undergrads and graduate students. I think one thing that definitely made me sort of get more acclimated and get back into the routine of like interacting with people and like getting more sort of like familiarized with Penn was definitely getting involved a lot with the community. And by that I mean not only like, there's not only options for the Penn community, we have like so many activities, so many sort of clubs and organizations that people can join deliberately if they want to sort of like expand their network, if they want to expand their sort of how to just interact with people that have similar interests. And there's also the other aspect of there's also the other aspect of if you are like a postdoc, right? You're probably working for maybe like a lab or maybe like as a sort of professor. And I do know that there's always like the happy hours that they do with the professors and whatnot. And so just taking advantage of the network that is available to you at Penn. That was something that I people used to tell me all the time, like, you have to network a lot because there's some very sort of like it's very important to leverage the connections that you have at your disposal, right? I think you meet so many people from all over the world. You meet people from like so many different walks of life, and it really does expand your sort of not only career interests, but also kind of your own sort of humanity and understanding how other cultures work, how other people sort of go through different things. You learn a lot. I have learned so many things from people from all over the world. So that's the beautiful thing about Penn. I do think that also another thing I would say that really sort of helped me get more sort of in touch with Penn was definitely getting experience when it comes to like work experience. I think as I said, like Penn is very like there's so many brilliant people there who have like so much more experience perhaps than like maybe you do, or like there's always that sort of idea of you're in a school where like everyone's the best of the best. And so you have to sort of recognize that you have to kind of catch up with people. And what I did was I immediately as I arrived to Penn, I joined a research lab and I started working. There's this whole sort of process that goes along with like finding a job on campus if that's something you're also interested in because of financial reasons or just like career development reasons. There's a process that goes along with finding your social security number and whatnot. And so I would say if given the possibility to you for working, I would say definitely take advantage of that because it's, very it makes you grow. It makes you grow as a student, makes you grow as a person, and also leveraging the connections that you have next to you and your network of people. So yeah, I would say those things really did help me a lot, just to Penn.
Judy and Nasib want to take that question as well? Like what helped with your adjustment or transition, to Penn?
I mean,
yeah, sorry, go ahead. Yeah, I can start. Yeah. So on one thing that I found to be super helpful would be when I first got to Philly, there's a Christian community that offer free pickup from the airport. When I first fly all the way from China to Philly, I feel like there's definitely anxieties getting into a new city out there, but there are clubs. Um, there's a Christian group that organize free pickup from the airport to where I live. So I feel like that first stop welcoming thing is definitely something that I found to be super helpful. And going on and weeks into the semester, I continue to go to different events that the group organized. Um, a lot of the social event, a lot of the Bible studies, and something like that. Although me myself is not yet a Christian person, I definitely feel like that some sort of spiritual event was that orientation of social settings out there is definitely something that kind of helped me better assimilate into a broader community here at Penn initially.
Yeah, I think I can add to that, and I'll try to make it as practical as possible. So I think a great resource that we touched upon before were the Penn clubs. And so the Penn clubs is essentially an accumulation of every single student organization that exists out there. So there are clubs that are based around a specific national identity. So we have, for example, the Penn Asian Association, the Penn Chinese Students Association. We have the Pan African Students Association, and chances are if you're from a country that already has a club established, and you can meet students from similar background. But in addition to that, we have clubs for sports that you might enjoy. So if you have interest in a specific sport, chances are there are other students who are interested in that too. And I think that helps you sort of build friendships at the beginning, which would be helpful for your social life at Penn, which would help you to adjust better and adapt better to Penn's environment in general. But in addition to that, I'd also add a sort of more abstract thought to it. I think it's really important coming to Penn to keep an open mind, because you would be meeting people from a lot of different perspectives with a lot of different life experiences. And those life experiences and those different perspectives that have been instilled in them since they were growing up would have shaped different sorts of beliefs and different sorts of approaches to life for them. And so you'd be encountering all of these different perspectives while at your time at Penn. And I think what could be a transformative experience would be to engage those different perspectives, keep an open mind to them, experience them. And I think that will also help in your sort of personal growth as you're advancing in your Penn career, which would hopefully help you to adapt better to Penn's environment.
Well, thank you. That was very, inspiring to hear all of you, in terms of your experiences and how you really kind of dealt with them. I am going to ask one more question, but in the meantime, I would like to encourage, all the attendees to, think about a question that you have for our panelists. You can either post that in chat or post it in Q&A. So that, we have an opportunity to address, any questions that you have for us today, before this section ends at 3:10. So my last question will be for the panelists is that, as you kind of think about, your relationship with your home country and your career, and how do you, I guess, deal with being far away from home, and, how do you deal with kind of, in a way, maintaining relationships with friends who might not have the shared experience of studying abroad or being abroad. And then and any thoughts about like in terms of career planning and having to deal with the reality that international students would need to go through a lot of hoops, right? Like the immigration restrictions and applying for the different visa categories. Like, what are your current thoughts about navigating those kind of immigration challenges? I know there's kind of three parts, two main parts of this question. So you don't have to answer all of it, whichever, you can go with any part of it.
I can talk about the first two, which is more like family and country, and what was the other part? The family, country, and how you
Like
find your safe.
how you navigate being far
Okay.
away from home, right? And then how do you maintain relationships with friends from back home, or even family members as well.
Yeah, I would say so in my case, like I went to the same school for like I started in when I was 2 and I graduated from that. So like at 18, like 16 years of my life in the same school with the same people, my same friends. So it was definitely hard sort of like going to another place where you didn't know anyone. And it's very scary, right? Because you're going to another country too. So it's definitely like a thing where you learn so many things at the beginning, and it's definitely something that you have to sort of maybe like I you have to prepare yourself to maybe how you will maybe navigate that. I think, for me, I'm just gonna speak for myself. Like it was hard, just because like there was a lot of shocks, right? There's like so many new things coming your way, and you kind of have to like deal with it on your own, sort of like when you're not with your parents anymore. And so I think what was really helpful for me was always maintaining connections with my friends from back home. I would, every 2 weeks or so, I would like hit them up on like WhatsApp and be like, "Oh, like how are you doing? Like how is college going? How is Peru? Whatnot." So just keeping like the connection sort of alive by every now and then sort of like asking how people are doing. I think it's important to have like people you can talk to when you go through hard times. I think that people that are like your safe space and you can go to and talk to them about anything. That also involves family. I'm very much close to my family, luckily, and I talk to them over WhatsApp. I call them, and I think it's important because when you're going through hard times, especially when you don't know anyone, it might feel like you are dealing with a lot of things on your own, and you end up sort of maybe sort of going through like a spiraling moment of you don't know what to do, who to talk to. And so keeping those connections sort of like alive, but always kind of going back to them and talking to them, I think it's very important. But I would say again, that's why it's also important to leverage the resources that there are at Penn. The Wine Garden Center, that I believe there's a link on the chat for that. So the Wine Garden Center, but also the student health services and mental health counseling, that is also something that you very much can take advantage of. I would encourage it like greatly. I think those are some of like the resources that have really helped me overcome a lot of my challenges. There are so many like group therapy meetings where you like, you deal with like your social anxiety, you get to like meet people. There's a bunch of other things like activities that makes you sort of get out of your comfort zone. And even if you're going through a hard time, which at one point I very much was, it's a space where you can like get help, and you can definitely find a solution to whatever sort of may be causing any sort of anxiety or any sort of yeah, issues like that. I would say when it comes to immigration, um I could just maybe like, as much as I can, like communicate with ISSS whenever possible. I think it's important to keep the connection between you and your ISSS advisor, which I believe everyone is assigned to, sort of like going, because they are your point of contact for anything. If they don't, respond to an email, finding a way to schedule a meeting with them. I can copy the link for the appointments. Yeah, so you can like schedule a meeting with your ISSS advisor, and you can talk to them about any immigration related issues, which will eventually come up at some point. Like there's always so many caveats, like, oh, you cannot do this if you have like an F1 visa, but you can't do this if you are from a certain country, or you shouldn't do this because you are under, you're not a citizen. But you have to do this other thing. So there's a lot of like hoops that you have to jump through. And so yeah, there's definitely help out there. And you can definitely like reach out to any of us, like the International Student Advisory Board as well, which there's a link on the chat. You can ask us questions regarding anything that you might be concerned about or anything that is like disturbing you in any way or shape or form, and we will potentially like help you navigate through that. So yeah, that's kind of what I have to say.
Thank you, Andres. So we are kind of at close to the end of our time. So for Judy and Nasi, if you can, have anything quick that you can share in response to my earlier question, that would be great.
Yep. I can talk a little bit more about career planning. It's true that a lot of the companies have stopped offering sponsorship for international students. And one thing I think it's really good to look at is that through the platform called Handshakes, it allows you to filter jobs based on sponsorship, whether they would sponsor H-1B, whether they would accept OPT or something like that. So I think that is a new function that I find to be super helpful when looking for job opportunities. I'll paste the link of in the chat right now. And also another good tip, I guess, would be to just talk to HR at the very beginning of the recruiting cycle, just to be really candid about this instead of wasting time until the very end of the interview or at the very end of this whole recruiting thing and tell them about the sponsorship thing. I feel like a lot of companies might have different rules that they might just not post it on their website, but it would always be nice if you just go there and talk to them about it before you actually putting a lot of time into preparing for interviews and stuff like that. Although I believe there are definitely still a lot of companies that do offer sponsorships.
Nasi?
Yeah, I think they covered most of it, but I'll just add another useful platform for international students in relation to careers. So there is this other platform as well. I think it's called InterStride, and it's designed specifically for international students in mind. So you'd have job postings for internship postings out there as well. And so you could use that alongside Handshake to explore your career choices. But at the same time, I would add to it that most American firms and most American organizations value the input that international students put in their firm and their organizations, and they're very usually receptive to international applicants as well. So although there might be immigration challenges and challenges related to holding a different passport in your hand, a lot of firms and a lot of companies here are very welcoming to international students. So I think that would also serve as a point of encouragement, and definitely check out the handshake option of filtering through jobs and internships based on your international student status. And the career services website here at Penn also have a lot of useful resources for international students. So I would highly advise checking them out as well. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. I know that's time. So
Yeah, thank you all so much. So we posted a lot of links in the chat. So if you haven't looked at it, look at them and please take a look. I wanted to, just kind of wait a minute to see if anyone in the audience have any, pressing question that our panelists can answer. So we can kind of just give another minute or two if there is a interest in asking our panelists questions. Please note that, Penn has a lot of, support and services in place for international students. You are always welcome to start with the ISSS website. And I posted in the chat also the International Student Resource Handbook. That's, there's a PDF document that's published on ISS's website. So in the handbook, you can find a lot of great information and also tips as well for to navigate a lot of different areas. So, take a look. And I know that one way, if I have anything to offer to our audience today is that, really, I think you need to rely on both yourself and the Penn system, to thrive and succeed at Penn. And relying on yourself, and I think it kind of means a few things. Definitely the wellness and fitness. I think our panelists have talked about earlier today. And I think also another piece is balancing between work, study, and personal life, right? You are here for academic and career reason, but you also are here to live an important part of your life. And so make sure that you have time for your personal interests, your hobbies, and make new friends, connect with existing social support. And the last one is also being resourceful. And I think being resourceful by knowing what is does this system, the university, the city has to offer, and utilize them. And I think all of this will help you to become a more resilient person. And then I think these are the main kind of really a big foundation for your academic success and career success. All right, so since there's no other questions, I guess we would kind of end today's webinar series by also for me to thank our panelists one more time, and then also for thanking the attendees for attending one or some or three of the webinars today. All right, and if the last speaker, the platform that you mentioned, I think Nasib, maybe you mentioned, yeah, okay, great. All right, thank you everyone. Stay dry, stay safe, and stay warm. All right. Again, welcome everyone, the new students, and also the scholars and students who would join later this year. Thank you, our student panelists.